What is going on? Back at Dave the Confused. Thank you so much for being here. We're talking some urban legends again. Some of these stories may keep you up at night. Just a warning right now. They are super creepy, and some of them have turned out to be true. Yeah, I chose a good amount of stories, and I did a bunch of research on urban legends and which ones are possibly true and which ones aren't, and which ones have a little more reality than fiction in them. And I came up with some winners. Some of these you probably have heard before, some of them you may not have heard, but all of them are uber creepy. And I really hope that I'm wrong and none of these happened, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. By the way, while you're here, please go check out the stores section of my YouTube channel for all of our Dave the Confused merch. It's awesome, it's incredible, and you should probably go check it out. So urban legends, every city, every country, every part of the world has urban legends. Some of them are 100% true, and some of them not so much. It almost kind of depends on who you ask about these legends. And I wanted to do some research, and I really wanted to get some concrete answers, but I knew I wasn't going to get them just on Google, right? So I probably went on some websites that I probably should not have gone on. And instantly regret it. Probably never going to go back to those websites. So I don't suggest, I mean, you can Google these stories and these legends and get the information yourself. But I'll just stick with Google. It's safer that way. Yeah, let's just get into it. So the first story involves a young lady who went on vacation. I believe it was a bachelorette party, or like a vacation with friends. There was several younger ladies, so I'm talking 22, 23, and they went out to like a tropical island, and this island gave them the option to do like a little bit of like a scuba diving tour, right? And so they went on this scuba diving tour, and it went kind of like in a little bit of a cave, and you could go under the cave and come up, and there was this big massive underground like cavern that you could explore and you could take pictures in and everything. So that's what the girls were doing with the guides. When the girls came back to the hotel, the bride-to-be noticed that she had a bite mark on her body, on her sternum. And it looked like a typical like bug bite. Could be like a beetle or a spider or something. And so they did what they usually do. They clean it out with peroxide or alcohol swabs or whatever, bandaged it up, forgot about it, went on with their weekend. Well, by the time she got home, she had a boil on her face. And a boil is like an abscess, almost like a big pimple. But it's big. It's like, some of them look like golf balls, like on your face. And they're full of like just pus and guts and bleh, right? And so obviously she couldn't have this on her face for her upcoming wedding. So she went to the doctors, and the doctor saw this on his face. He was like, yeah, that's pretty bad. That looks swollen and painful. Why don't we lance it? Now, when a doctor says he wants to lance something, that's basically him just cutting it to drain it. So he's using a scalpel or a surgical tool to put a little incision in the top of it, and applying pressure will drain everything in it, and he can stitch it up, and everything will be fine. So he cut it, and initially nothing came out of the boil. There was no pus, no blood, nothing. And then he opened the skin up, and like 300 baby spiders came rushing out of this boil. As in, there was a spider nest in this woman's skin, in her face. As someone who's legitimately does not like spiders, this is worst case scenario for me. This would be the worst thing that would ever happen to me. I do not know how I would generally react to this. And they had to basically cut out a rather large chunk of this woman's face that had just been infested with spider eggs. And so you can look this stuff up, and they've made movies about this. They've made countless YouTube videos about this, and sources do say that this actually happened. So I don't have any names of anybody or like who this occurred to, but it sounds straight awful. Like one of like I can't even imagine what that would be like. Ugh. Hate spiders. The next one we are going to talk about is one of the weirdest urban legends, and I've heard this one a long time ago. It's been around for a while, but it's a doozy. It's crazy. So a young and up-and-coming businessman in a larger city in the United States, we'll just say New York, because this urban legend comes out of New York apparently, went to a bar with his friends to celebrate his upcoming promotion. And at this bar, amongst all the people there, all the beautiful women that are at this bar, he meets one that simply takes his breath away. He meets this one girl, and they hit it off great. They're buying each other drinks. She's laughing at his jokes. She seems very physically interested in this gentleman. And he is very physically interested in her. She says she has a hotel room right across the street. Why don't they take the party back to the hotel room? So the man says, absolutely, yes, 100%. Boom. He goes with her. They go up into the hotel room and they begin to physically express love towards one another. Mating. And after the fact, she offers him another drink. He gladly accepts. They have their drinks together. And then he starts to feel a little dizzy, a little out of sorts, maybe a little tired. And he passes out. Well, he wakes up hours later, freezing. He cannot believe he has never been this cold. He looks around him and he's in a bathtub full of ice. He tries to sit up, but an excruciating pain plummets through his back into his stomach and sternum. He has never felt pain like this before. He's barely able to crawl out of the bath, crawl across the floor to find his clothes in the living room, grab his cell phone and call 911. He then passes out from pain, wakes up again later in the hospital. He wakes up to massive tubes running in and out of his body. He has no idea what's happened to him. The doctor comes in and explains that while he was drugged in the hotel room, someone cut into him and stole both of his kidneys. Now, the idea being that whoever this female was part of the black market of illegal trading of organs. That means when someone needs an organ, a kidney, a heart, a liver, a lung, and they can't get one, someone on the black market will go and find someone and forcefully remove that organ from them to give to the person that needs the donation for a sum of money. Apparently, so the story goes, that this urban legend in the 80s and 90s spread like wildfire all through New York City, to the point where hospitals had an emergency code that if something like this were to happen and someone were to come into their hospital with their kidneys just being removed, that they would know what to do right away. That's how scared the entire city of New York was because of this urban legend, that hospitals had an emergency plan if this happened. That's nuts. That's so crazy, because literally you can't live 3 days without your kidneys. It's not going to happen. Won't happen. Your creatinine, which is the toxin in your blood, would skyrocket, and it would shut down all of your organs one by one. It would be excruciating, and you would be vomiting constantly, and it would be the worst last hours of your life without having kidneys. So be very careful who you meet in bars and hotel rooms you may go in, and always check your drinks, because you never know. So those are my urban legends that may keep you up at night tonight. Thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and comment down below a ghost story. I love reading them. And check out our merch. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm David Confused. And at least our dogs aren't werewolves. Please don't go, you're the one thing.